Yeah. It goes.
Welcome to another episode of the Big Fish of Freight podcast. The Big Fish of Freight podcast is brought to you by Ascend TMS. Ascend TMS is the world's most popular TMS. To have your mind blown, go to thefreetms.com. Welcome everyone, guys, to another episode of the Freight Caviar podcast. I have today a very special guest, Brent Orsuga. I got really amped up from our intro call, so I just want to introduce Brent real quick. Brent is a top recruiter in logistics. Brent, thank you so much for taking your time to be on the show today.
I appreciate you having me on. I'm excited to do this.
So, Brent, I appreciate you amping me up because I got all this energy now, and I would love just to hear your story. If you could take us back to, where you started in logistics and how you got to where you are right now.
Yeah, so I'm based out here in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I've done recruiting for like 20 years. But as far as freight goes, it goes back to 2009. So from 2000, call it 1 to 8, I recruited in construction, right? So I had no idea what freight really was. And after the 2008 crash, kind of that industry definitely hit a pause. And I had teamed up with somebody that was working in freight. And I knew nothing about flatbed, LTL. It was just all new to me. But what I learned early on was that those two industries were very similar, right? Construction and trucking were kind of a blue collar guy type industry. It was very easy for me to relate and speak to people. You put me in healthcare or engineer, I don't know that I can be myself and as authentic as I like to be. Fast forward, so then recruiting since 2009 within the space. Back in 2014, in May 2014, finally kind of took that leap and started Pinnacle. Right? There's never a perfect time to kind of become an entrepreneur or go down that path. But, at the time, I think I was 37, had a small child. And I'm like, if not now, when? And took that leap, started from nothing, started out of a bedroom, no real clients established at that time, no website, just kind of a dream and a hustle. And the rest is history. So, right now we're very niche-y to the industry. I tend to tell people we really focus on 3 segments of the industry. Number 1 is called the asset side. Number 2, we do a ton in brokerage. And then number 3, especially the last couple of years, a lot of the technology that's coming to the industry, right? Whether that be software or hardware, that's our world. And we've moved thousands of people over the past decade, man. So to say I'm dialed in within this space is probably an understatement. We just do a lot of it behind the scenes.
I love that. Before our conversation, you started telling me about your trip to Manifest, where you saw like the tech that's coming out. And I wanted to just hear your thoughts on what you learned at Manifest, what you saw, and what kind of changes will take place in like the logistics world.
Yeah, I've actually said, I don't even know that conference would have occurred 2 or 3 years ago. That's how much the industry has changed the last couple of years, right? Because here's the reality around technology within logistics. It is no longer an option, but a necessity. You have to have it, right? And so what I saw as somebody that frequently goes to the TIA and Freight Waves and Food Shippers and all these traditional type conferences, this one was different even from the audience that was there. And what it showed me is there's a whole new batch of people coming into supply chain. Supply chain is a broad term, but it's very real, right? Yeah. A lot of the equity money, a lot of these very, very bright engineers and people that know tech, but maybe they don't know freight. It is here, it is real, and that's where the money's going. And so it's exciting to see, right? Because we've all known the traditional big box, let's call it Chicago brokerages. I kind of say, look, that was the 2010s. 2020, it's all about tech. The sooner that people migrate towards that from a career standpoint, the more trajectory they're going to have over the next couple of years.
Sure. And then, Brent, in terms of recruiting, like let's say you're a freight broker right now in one of these Chicago freight brokerages, but you don't want to be stuck in, that cubicle and dealing with the day-to-day stress of carriers and all that stuff. You take a lot of these candidates and you take them into these freight tech companies. Like how, I guess my question would be like, are a lot of people making the transition right now? And are you capable of giving us some insights into, all that?
For sure. I mean, I think if you study, again, the big box traditional brokerages, right? Those to me, They're amazing places to learn the industry. When you're 23, 24, and you don't really know freight 101, amazing environments, right? Because you're going to learn so much. You're going to learn the carrier side. You're going to learn the customer side. Maybe it's cradle to grave. And you're going to kind of determine through that path what angle you go down. There's no right or wrong, right? But maybe you're stronger on account management. Maybe you are that customer sales dog. Maybe you go into enterprise ops. Again, you never know. But what you tend not to see that much anymore, you don't really see many people go from big to big to big. I'm just going to drop a couple names. You rarely see people go from CH to Coyote to Echo to Schneider. You don't really see a lot of the movement, right? You're going to see a lot of people that come from the big companies and they want to go to the small, mid-size, up and coming. That's where the opportunity is, because I'm a big believer in timing. You got to get in the right seat at the right time for your own career trajectory. To do that within a $1 billion company is very hard, right? You're a spoke in the wheel. There's a lot more layers. And so if I'm 26, if I'm 30, I'm like, what's the next hot thing? Where can I get into? Whether that be the digital freight brokerage, which is for sure hot, and or a lot of these technology platforms, because again, these tech companies don't necessarily know freight as much as you would think. And for me, being exposed to both sides of this, I personally think it's easier to teach tech to a freight person than freight to a tech person.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's where kind of the gold mine is right now for people to get out of the check calls, get out of the 2 a.m. carrier calls, and just go a little more towards technology. That's
Sure.
where the action is.
I mean, I left Everest because I got burnt out. I was dealing with all that kind of the nuances and the kind of just bullshit of carrier sales, managing a team. Somehow I started Freight Caviar, and now I'm doing marketing for companies. So it's crazy how many jobs are in logistics for people that understand logistics. Because people, even from the marketing aspect, if you don't know logistics, it's difficult for you to do marketing in logistics, right?
I speak on that all the time. I think that that's why so many companies come to us being so niche, because I say we speak the language.
Yeah.
When I get on the phone with a candidate or someone on our squad, it's an instant connection. When I start asking you about, hey, how many loads did you move last month, right? What was your GP? What regions did you service? Were you drive-in? Were you reefer? Were you flatbed? What's your thing? You automatically know that I talk what you talk.
Yep.
And so it creates a wall that gets let down because we're on the same page. We're speaking the same path. We're going down the same angles. So it's just a different dynamic as far as that goes. But if I start talking about stuff that you start explaining stuff I don't know, we're both lost.
Exactly. And in this environment, we're dealing with a lot of non-competes, non-disclosures. What would you tell a candidate that's about to sign a non-compete?
Educate yourself. Because here's the thing. This is a very hot topic, right? I mean, I just got interviewed this week about just this. And I remember back in January, I had posted something that happened in Chicago called the Freedom to Work Act, where no longer, I think it was 75,000 or less, if somebody's making, you can enforce it. Here's the problem when it comes to non-competes. People don't know what they sign. And so you go through as a young person, mostly an interview process. You show up on day one. None of this is popped up. Hey, here's your new hire paperwork. Here's your W-9. Here's your direct deposit form. And here's the document where we're going to screw you if you leave us for 2 years. Go ahead and sign, buddy. Right? Oh, and if you don't, you can't work here. So by that point, you've already gone through the process. You already told mom and dad and your spouse, relationship, whatever, hey, I got this great job. I'm so excited. What are you going to do? Bounce? Here's the other problem with the non-competes. I would say 90% of the people that we communicate with don't have a copy. They don't have a copy. They've never gotten it. They've never saved it. Here's the real issue. Let's just say that you want to leave a big box company and go somewhere else. And the new company is like, hey, we just want to know what we're signing up for. We just want to know what you have hanging over your shoulder is what it is. If you are to go talk to HR, hey, I know I signed some document back in 2017. Can I get a copy of that? They're not just going to be like, Paul, no problem. Here you go, my man. You're going to have it in 3 minutes to your email, right? Thanks for everything you do. No way. They're going to call the manager. They're going to ask you questions. Why do you need that? Where are you going to go? And it creates so many red flags that puts people in a tough spot.
Sure.
And so that in itself is a whole different situation. Non-solicits, totally get, totally respect. I agree with. Whatever you dealt with wearing this jersey, you can't just uproot and walk out the door. When it comes to non-competes, though, it should be role specific. What I mean by that is if you're creating on the engineering side a proprietary TMS API type system, you can't just walk out the door to a competitor and take that knowledge and go. That I get.
Yeah.
Slang and freight, and there's no secret sauce there. It's relationships.
Sure.
I mean, imagine if sports had non-competes.
Yeah. Brent, have you heard of any like horror stories when it comes to like court cases, stuff like that?
Of course, man. I mean, I won't mention names, but there's some companies with 3 initials that, really tend to go after people quite aggressive. And here's the thing also about non-competes that get it tricky: inconsistency. There's some companies that are like, look, I don't care if you've been here a month or 10 years. The process is the process. We're coming at you. You're going to get the letters right from our court. We're going to not make sure that you can go down this path. Some companies involve emotion. What I mean by that is, how much do they like the person that's leaving? Because they may treat that person different. And the worst case scenario is when they want to make an example out of you. Then you're really screwed, right? Because it's like, you know what? We're going to make an example out of that person that no one else is going to do this. That's a tough battle.
Sure.
But the problem is, if you treat one person different than the other, how enforceable is that really? That goes on a lot out there as well. Tricky.
What if like an employee wants to leave and open his own company? How does that work? Does that still
look, I mean, as somebody that did this, I think that companies care more about when you take people sometimes than when you do accounts.
Okay.
You got to do things the right way. This is $1 trillion industry. There's no saturation here. This is not Coke and Pepsi. There's so much freight, so much opportunity for people. If somebody was to branch off and do their own thing, do it the right way.
Yeah.
Have ethics. Don't burn bridges. Karma is very real in this industry. You and I talked about this. This is the biggest small industry there is. You start burning people, that's going to follow you wherever you go.
Yeah.
I respect people that have the ability to take that leap. Don't do it the wrong way.
Sure. I like that. Brent, how could a candidate stick out in this market? Well, I guess it's pretty easy to stick out, right? There's a lot of jobs available.
It is, but I mean, I think that I can speak how we operate. I want to know more about the person. I don't really care where you're coming from. I think a lot of people assume that if you're working at a specific company, you're legit. That's not always the case, right? So I don't even care much about resumes. I always say this: I don't care about the paper. I care about the person. Because what I really try to find out is more about you. I want to know how you're built, how you're wired, because that's going to tell me everything else. I don't really focus too much on like what you've done. Sure, I want to know some functionalities. I want to know some things that you've been a part of, but I want to know more about the individual. I want to know your routines, your habits, your mindset, because those are transferable skills. Freight is freight. Can you slang a load? Can you cover a load? Yeah. Can you call a customer? Sure. Can you spot quote? You probably can. But I want to know what drives you. I want to know what your triggers are, right? Because that allows you to kind of play matchmaker on what companies you go to where you can enhance and be embraced for that as far as that goes. But if I'm a candidate, I mean, you and I talked about this as well. I'm embracing LinkedIn, right? I'm making myself known. I think there's a time and a place to kind of pop your head out. And I do believe you should have results first. But at the same time, if you are visible, people don't have to find you.
Yeah.
Not every company is going to fully embrace that. So if I'm going to a new company, that's a question that I'm asking. Hey, it's 2022. What is your company policy on personal branding? Are you going to allow me to be myself? Can I show myself hiking? Can I show myself at Donuts with Dads? Can I show myself on what podcasts and books I listen to? Right? Are you going to embrace that? Because that's who I am. Or does everything I have to do have to have your company logo and I'm just like kind of a soldier wearing your brand? That's kind of letting people do it, but kind of not. That's a question that I would absolutely be including on the candidate side to the company. Let me be me.
Definitely. I mean, we talked about how important that is before our recording with me doing Free Caviar, and it's helped me tremendously get connected with the industry. And it is a big, small industry, like you said, just because it seems everyone knows each other at the top.
And here's a quote that I'll never forget. You're going to understand this now that you've kind of put yourself out there. When you are known and you walk into a room, you get treated differently.
Yeah.
Think about that. You're not a nobody. You're not a Joe Schmo. People recognize you, right?
Yeah. You
get treated differently as far as that goes. There's a different respect, a different influence, right? A different dialogue, a different opening. You know, you're going to start to see, man, as you start to go to some conferences, hey, man, I love what you do. I love your content. I love your energy. I'm really impressed with what you do. Those conversations are going to happen. These aren't people that are liking or commenting on everything, but trust me, they're watching.
Yeah. I'm actually going to be at TIA in San Diego next month.
I'll be there as well, man. I'm going to speak
Cool.
on two panels, which I'm excited about. And then, like most people I know, will be at Chattanooga, Arkansas for FreightWaves.
Yeah, Arkansas.
It'll be good.
Yeah, definitely. It's super exciting. I'm flying from Poland, be a week in LA, go to San Diego. I'm super pumped. Yeah.
Yeah, I think everyone's ready to get back to. I mean, I noticed it at Manifest that, you know, it's been 2 years of Zoom. And, you know, I'm a big face-to-face guy. I'm a big energy person. I think you already know that.
Yeah.
Nothing will ever replicate, ever, being across from somebody. Nothing will ever replicate a handshake and a steak dinner.
Totally.
Right? That interaction. And you got to be in the room, not just on Zoom. It's a separator, 100%.
Yeah. Brent, how do you have so much energy? How could someone who lacks energy get more energy?
I'm very passionate. I'm very clear on my goals. And I know that I can control all the outcomes in my own personal career and life, right? Because here's the reality. I'll get a little motivational on you, but the reality is, even here in my office, I have something that says, control the controllables. There's a lot of noise in the outside world, right? There's a lot of noise that goes on out there, a lot of stuff that unfortunately we can't control. But every single day, there's two things I can control: my activity and my attitude. I control how much I show up, how hard I show up, how many calls I make, right? How many emails I send, how much I push out. I can control that. No one's holding me back. I don't have handcuffs, number one. And number two, you really have two choices, positive or negative. Both are contagious. So for me, one of the biggest things that I do is I start every single day feeding my brain with positive energy. Every day on my way to work out at 5 a.m., I listen to the same 13-minute audio by Les Brown. Same every single day, because I'm programming my mind to be in a tone. I'm not turning on CNN. I'm not putting negative news up here, right? I control that. That's what guides me down a very productive and very positive day, number one. Number two, I'm very, very clear on what we're trying to accomplish and a goal that I'm going after. I mark my word, I will hit this goal. There's nothing that's going to stop me. I'm laser focused. I have to show up with energy. I have to show up with passion. I have to play at a premium in order to get that. It's a big goal.
Sure.
What's the alternative? Kind of show up. And I don't know. I can't hit that, dude. It sounds cool, but nah.
Brent, do you take cold showers?
I do. I've done the cold plunges. That's tough, man.
I love taking cold showers. It wakes me up so much, so much. I love the energy I get.
And I don't know how to describe this, man, but I'm kind of like a light switch. Like I wake up every day at 4 a.m. and I'm on.
Okay. What time do you go to sleep at?
Like call it like 8:30.
Okay, so that's fairly early.
I got two small kids and go hard. So by the time like you get through that transition, you're kind of done, right? But
sure.
I've always been a morning person. And here's the thing too. The mornings are a very important part of the day. And I think people need to get more selfish about their mornings, because as soon as you start to allow people to come at you, as soon as you start to open yourself up to the big brokerage world and the freight world that's out there, you're sucked into the day, right? You're sucked into the stuff that goes on, because freight is not black and white. It's not A to Z. all brokers are firefighters, man. They're just dealing with shit all day long, right?
Yeah.
So those mornings, I do believe this. You work out, get your mind right. You journal, you focus on your goals, right? I mean, dude, I do a lot of crazy stuff, you know, in a good way, which I think is good. I mean, I have affirmations that are my voice through like an app called Think Up, right? So it's me talking to myself because, again, I'm programming that mind. So I do a lot of these little hacks that I don't think everyone does that puts me into such a mode that when I walk in this door, it's go time.
Yeah.
Not here to hang out, man. I'm here to produce.
I absolutely love that. I need some of that because I live in Poland, so I go to sleep like around 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Which is 7 hours behind Chicago or ahead of Chicago. So it would be 6 p.m. in Chicago, and I wake up like around 8 or 9 a.m. So I wake up like at 2 a.m. Chicago time, and I got like all this time where like I don't really have to do anything. I haven't had to set alarm clocks for 4 years because ever since I moved from the States, I haven't had to. And I do miss that morning part because I used to love the mornings back home in Chicago.
Well, I think that's a great time to work on yourself. And here's the other thing that I do, right? My office is very visual. I've mapped out my whole life in front of me. So imagine staring at that every single day, right?
Yeah.
It's a movie script to me. And so how can I look around at all these things that you don't see on the other side of this wall? How can I look around at all this stuff and not be dialed in, not be fired up, right? Not know exactly how I'm going to get that goal or that house or travel this way.
Sure.
I control that, man. So it's like, I constantly have these things in front of me. And so every day I'm just looking at that, chasing it every day.
I love it. I love how you said that. It's like a movie script. That's, I think it's powerful to visualize. And
well,
I mean,
and I think a powerful exercise too is using pen and paper. Literally writing down. This is what, I mean, I'll share that. I know we're going down a little bit of a tangent.
No worries.
I'm telling you, man, this is real stuff that works, right? I mean,
yeah.
I have doubled every single year since I started business. And a lot of it has done with the investments I've made into myself through coaching and mentoring. And I just study people. I study successful people. Don't take advice from people doing less than you. But when you start to study successful people, success leaves clues. And it's how you implement this stuff, right? If you're to take a piece of paper, everyone takes a piece of paper and just even writes 2 years from now, March 10th, 2024, what you want your life to look like, where you're living, what kind of car you're driving, where your kids are going to school, where you're traveling to that year. It's pretty powerful, man, when you start to involve that emotion and put that out there, because this is you and you. I do that on a consistent basis and continually read it. Again, programming the mind, right? That's what I want. That's what I want. It's what I'm going to get. I don't let outside variables control me. I run my race and I got blinders on. Nothing stopping me. Powerful exercise, man.
Yeah.
Don't get wrapped up in Instagram, focused on what Kim Kardashian's doing. She doesn't pay my kids' private school. She doesn't pay my mortgage. Too many people sit here and they view other people. They watch their lives.
Yeah.
More people probably spend an hour on social media doing that than an hour on themselves. That's scary.
Yeah, it's true.
Imagine you flip-flop that, what would happen over the course of a year?
Yeah. I definitely am falling victim to like the Instagram. That's why I've gotten popular on Instagram too. It's because I spend so much time on Instagram.
I get it, man. And it's all how you use it, right? Social media is very real. It's here. TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. But here's the thing. You are what you consume. You are what you consume, right? So you can pick and choose what information you're going to look at. And if you don't, they're going to choose it for you. Right?
Yeah.
Pick and choose wisely, my friend.
I'm so lucky to have you on this podcast, Brent. I feel like I should be paying you for this. I'm so amped up now. I can just go like, I love the energy that I'm feeding off of you.
But here's the thing, and I told you this, in sales and recruiting, anybody who's in a leadership management standpoint, it is nothing more than an exchange of energy. It is contagious.
Yeah.
If you're the type of leader that walks in behind people late, goes in your corner office, who wants to work for that person? Right? I tell everyone, get on my back. I'm running us into the fire. I don't know what's going to come on the other side, but we're going that way, right? People believe in you. People bet on people. I know I'm a good bet. And I know
I definitely bet on you, Brent.
Exactly.
Totally.
That's why you have people that gravitate towards you, because they're like, God damn, this guy's so passionate. How can we not use him?
Yeah.
How do we not want that person speaking on our behalf in the marketplace?
Sure. How many people do you have, Brent?
We seven full-time recruiters all over the country. I kind of run a remote model, but you know, what's even works really well is the last 3 all came from the industry. So we went and got a customer sales rep, a carrier rep, an account manager. And the thing is, when they speak to candidates, they're one of you. Our stories are the same, brother. I sat in your seat. I know what you've experienced. I've worked in that big box brokerage. Let's go explore some options.
Yeah.
You know, but and I want to speak on this too, because one biggest difference I think about us, and I can only speak on how we operate. The word recruiters kind of has a dirty word, right? Because especially in a market like this, vultures come out. They smell blood. When you think of a recruiter, a typical recruiter is going to have like 2 to 4 jobs they're working on. Their job is to fill those seats. Therefore, I have an agenda. So when I talk to candidates, who am I looking out for? Them or myself? I'm trying to put a square into a circle sometimes for my own gain. We don't play that way. I don't know enough about a person to speak in an educated manner on what path to guide them down. One of the biggest questions, and I think all your audience should ask themselves this: what do you want? Not what I have, not what a recruiter knows of. What do you want? The more you can clearly know what you want, the easier it is for someone like myself to play matchmaker and be like, okay, let's go check out this option. Let's go down this path. Because here's what you got to know. It's not who you know, it's who I know. You got to look at us like a VIP host, right? You can stand in line like everyone else, trying to apply online, looking through the windows, trying to get in. Or you let me open the rope, grab your hand, and take you to the table. Which one sounds better? You got to have someone like us on your behalf, working you through the marketplace. I don't deal with HR. I deal with owners and hiring managers. That's who I roll with. It's a different process. So as a candidate, you have to ask yourself, who do I want to talk and represent me on the streets? All this is a sports agency, sports free agency. That's all this is. Pick and choose who your agent is that has your interest in mind, not their own. Everything else takes care of itself if you do this right. Now you got me all fired up.
I love it. I love it, Brent. Could you tell us, Brent, how have salaries changed since the pandemic? How much have they gone up?
I mean, I think the biggest rough number to use is like 10 grand. So I think if you had a traditional carrier rep that was making 50, that same is now 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. I mean, that is very, very real, right?
Yeah.
And I can't think that over the last 2 years, somebody can come out of this in the same boat. Whether you've gotten more money where you are, whether you've tested the waters, right? Like you cannot get through this window and not be in a better position. Yeah. And here's something else. I think people really need to be consciously aware of this as we go into Q2. This little 2-year window that we're playing with is coming to an end. Hybrid is starting to get established. Things are absolutely coming back to normal. Because here's my take on the last 2 years. No questions asked. Why did you make a move? 2 answers. COVID, Great Resignation. Cool. I don't care if somebody made 2 moves or 3 moves during that windows. I know what's gone on. People start to ask questions past this summer. You got one kind of big quarter here to make a move, no questions asked. Now's the time.
Okay. So are you anticipating a cool down in the market in Q2? No.
This train's not slowing down, man. This train's not slowing down. Here's what's interesting about the industry, because it does go in waves. Right now, the operations side is still very hot. I've said this before. In 2022, you don't have to sell the freight as much as service it. Yeah. So for the first time, those operators, account management, customer ops, enterprise type people, those are in demand, right? Once companies beef that up, then it's going to flip back to sales. So if I'm a sales rep, I'm really conscious of when my time is coming. right? So I'm studying my numbers. I'm still turning on new business. As a seller, this is the best advice I can give. Do never let yourself turn into an account manager. Always get new business. Because when you make a move and those accounts don't come with you, don't come into the game rusty.
Okay.
Always be selling, always turning on new freight, right? Never turn that off on the sales side.
Brent, have you ever thought about being a motivational speaker? I feel like you do a great job.
Well, I mean, I think I've been asked that a lot, but man, this is just, this is not some facade. This is how I live life.
I love it though. It's amazing.
I'm very passionate. I'm very driven again. And I just have big goals, man. So that's what inspires me every single day. Right. But I just had the opportunity to be around some really good coaches, some really good mentors that inject a lot into me. And I feel obligated to pass that on to other people, right? To make other people's lives better. That's the beautiful part about recruiting. You know, I always say we make it look easier than it is. We have the only product with a brain. Think about that.
Why is that?
Software doesn't talk back. Homes don't have counter offers, right?
Okay.
Medical devices don't have to go tell their wife they're making a move. Think about our product, man, right? So you have to be able to relate to people and guide them down certain paths. So for me, you have to carry yourself a certain way to be able to, you know, impact people's lives the way that they should be, because jobs are a big part of people's lives. So really, there's three big things in everyone's lives: where they live, where they work, and who they're in a relationship with. I have the power to impact one of those. You don't think I take that serious? It's a big deal, man. We've moved so many people behind the scenes that no one even knows, right? You know, if you even look at me on LinkedIn, you don't see me talk about the companies we partner with.
Yeah.
You don't see me boasting about that. You don't see me pictures with the owners in Chicago. We fly behind the scenes. They like it and I like it. We're more dangerous that way, right? But they know when they need killers, when they need the best people, they know who they're calling on, and we back it up.
Brent, to start wrapping here up a little bit, I wanted to hear what kind of advice would you give to recent college grads and also employees that want to leave and find a new job?
Yeah. Look, I mean, I know that we talked, you're a younger guy. I think in your 20s, it's very important to try things. Try different roles. See where your skill sets align. I don't know at 23 if somebody's an account manager, if I'm really good at customer side, if I'm a carrier rep yet. I don't know that. The company may try to put me down a hole, but I want to be exposed to it all, right? Once I figure that out, the latter part of my 20s, I go all in. As I turn 30, I start to develop different skill sets. I become really good at that. Because when you can be really good at something, it gives you the magical word, which is leverage. What is somebody going to call me for? What are they going to pay a premium for? Plug and play. They want what they want, right? So if you become the best carrier rep, the best customer sales rep, the best manager, right? The best flatbed rep, the best reefer, the best cross-border person, get that identity down and become that. Have some swag and confidence, but back it up. Then your value on the streets is very high. If you're one of 15 carrier reps on a team and you're number 12, come on, man.
Yeah.
Dime a dozen, my man. Dime a dozen, brother. You might go somewhere for $5 grand more. Not going to change your life. And I mean, here's the thing. This sounds awful, but it's easier to separate yourself than you think. When I was in your guys' shoes in my early 20s, that was part of my interview process. I walked in, I said, who's the team? Who am I running against? And I would look at this and I'd be like, we're not even in the same league. I'm going to eat all you guys. They hated me, right? Because I'm coming in so passionate. And so I'm going to destroy every single one of you. Who's number one on the list? I want to sit next to that person. So every day he knows that I'm coming for his spot, but I'm also going to learn from them. I had that confidence, man, because I knew no one was going to outwork me. Right now, there's so much talk about a 4-day work week. I'm like, please. I love that. It's another separator.
Yeah.
You want that? Cool. No harm, no foul, man. That's your life. You
Okay.
got to understand how easy it can be to separate yourself within the marketplace, though. I'm telling you, it's not as hard as people think.
Yeah.
It boils down to work.
Yeah. And then lastly, Brent, if you could give us your top 3 favorite books.
It's a good question. I think I'm going to go a little high level. I'm going to think Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill is a staple that everyone should read.
I have it right here on my bookshelf.
I think that you as you read it over and over and over, like you ever seen a movie and you learn stuff different times?
Yeah. You pick
Gotta
up
go
more.
back to these books. Some of these books you cannot skim through because it's going to kick in the more that you change. Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, I'm a big believer in these Tim Grover books, right? Relentless and Winning.
Okay.
You have to understand the mindset that is involved, right, to create separation. I think that you have crazy books, which you can study on the human brain, like cybernetics, which talk about the human brain and how you can actually program it along with the subconscious mind. I'm a big believer in speaking to the universe, right? And the things that come back. I do believe life is a boomerang, man. What you put out, you get back. And without getting too hokey pokey yoga, this is real life.
Yeah.
And the more that you understand that, life could be something you control and dictate a little more than you think.
Love it. Well, Brent, do you have any last thoughts or anything you'd like to say?
You know, for everyone, I know the audience that you have. I know the world that we play in. And I just want people to understand how important this industry is. It's not going away. It's only getting bigger, right? Go all in to learn as much as you can. It's not about what you do between 8 and 5 at the office. It's what you do at those outside moments. How much are you studying the industry? How much are you studying trends? How much are you reading every possible article that's going out to become such a knowledge base of information? It's only going to make you better. Don't just show up and wing it, man. Invest and understand how impactful this industry is and the impact you can have in the world doing it.
Well, Brent, on that note, I'd like to thank you for taking your time to talk today. I had a wonderful time, and that's about it. I guess it's a wrap, and we'll see each other in San Diego.
That's right. I appreciate it, brother.